Hi, my name is Dana Harrison, and I have 18 minutes to tell to you about an emergent intervention. I want to start by telling you about an experience I had with my 6-year-old niece. So I picked her up from school, and I brought her to my work until her mom was there to pick her up. And she asked me as we were getting out of the car what I did at my office. And in the simplest terms for a 6-year-old, I told her that I help people when they go to jail. And she stopped and looked at me and said, "Amy, you should help them before they go to jail." And I couldn't help but laugh at that, because for a 6-year-old that was pretty insightful. And I thought, out of the mouths of babes, she's absolutely correct. Unfortunately, in the line of work that I do, I don't really have interaction with people until after they go to jail. So I thought, as an emergent intervention, how about talking about helping these people, rehabilitating them after they get in trouble, after we have their attention. So my emergent intervention is about mindfulness-based stress reduction to inmates who are incarcerated in our United States federal, state, and local jails. According to the U.S. Bureau of Statistics, the United States is the world's leader in incarceration, with 2.2 million adults incarcerated in the United States federal and state prisons and county jails. That would be 1 in 110 in the U.S. resident population. That is a 500% increase over the past 30 years. The result of that increase has resulted in prison overcrowding and state governments being overwhelmed by the burden of funding a rapidly expanding penal system. Additionally, there's 4.7 million adults in 2013 that were on probation or parole. In total, when you total the whole number of people incarcerated and those who are on supervised release like probation or parole, that would be 6.8 million people in 2013. That's 1 in 35 in the U.S. resident population. Without going on any further, I have to talk about the racial disparity with African Americans. As you can see, there are 37% of the state and federal prison population is African Americans. That far exceeds whites and Hispanic, and that's despite the fact that African Americans only make up 12% of the total population. The disparity in the arrest, conviction, sentencing, and incarceration of African American males is a huge problem in our criminal justice system. 1 in 6 black men have been incarcerated as of 2001. If current trends continue as they've been, 1 in 3 black males born today can expect to spend time in prison during his lifetime. And 1 in 100 African American women are in prison. Prisons are comprised of 93% males and 7% females. The ages range between 18 to 65 and over, with the largest number of prisoners ranging from 36 years old to 40 years old. The percentage of prisoners in federal and state prisons aged 55 and older has increased by 33% from 2000 to 2005, while the prison population grew by 8%. 59% of all prisoners are white, 38% are black, and 3% make up the Hispanic, Asian, and Native American ethnicities. Now, about that 3%, a 2005 report estimated that 27% of federal prison inmates are non-citizens convicted of crimes while in the country legally or illegally. And a new population that has emerged in our prisons is transgender adults and LGBT, lesbian, gay, bisexual, or transgender. They are disproportionately more likely than the general population to come in contact with the criminal justice system. According to the National Center for Transgender Equality, 16% of transgender adults have been in prison and or jail compared to 2.7% of all adults. LGBT people are particularly vulnerable to mistreatment in jail and prison by both other inmates and staff. Another population that has grown astronomically in prison is those people with mental illness. According to the Bureau of Justice and Statistics, over half of all prisoners in 2005 had either experienced mental illness as identified by recent history or by symptoms of mental health problems. There are many stressors in prison. At the very least, prison is painful, and incarcerated persons often suffer long-term consequences from having been subjected to pain, to deprivation, and extremely atypical patterns and norms of living and interacting with others. There are many prisons in the United States that are overcrowded. For example, California's 33 prisons have a total capacity of 100,000 men, but they hold 170,000 inmates. Living in such close quarters is just one of the main stressors of prison. That stress is most exhibited as aggressive and impulsive behavior. Violence toward other inmates and correction staff is most prevalent in prisons across the United States. Mindfulness-based stress reduction courses are being taught around the world in various contexts and targeted to various populations. Mindfulness-based stress reduction is a well-defined, systematic, patient-centered approach to group mindfulness training. Kabat-Zinn in 1996 started the mindfulness training, which ultimately requires effective use of the present moment as the core indicator of the appropriateness of particular choices. Mindfulness practices emphasize non-reactivity, specifically that one does not need to react to each thought that enters the mind. Mindfulness is paying precise, non-judgmental attention to the details of our experiences as it arises and subsides. You don't have to reject anything. Instead of struggling to get away from experiences that are difficult, you just simply practice being able to be with them. Mindfulness-based stress reduction emphasizes a lifestyle change of self-care and compassion, and ultimately the relief of suffering. Key elements are required for it to be called mindfulness-based stress reduction. That includes core meditation practices, teaching modules, and training exercises included in the formal curriculum developed by Kabat-Zinn and colleagues at the University of Massachusetts Center for Mindfulness. It also includes assignment of daily formal mindfulness practice. Participants learn to integrate the practice into their daily lives rather than imposing it as another item on their to-do list. A lifestyle change that emphasizes self-care and compassion and ultimately the relief of suffering is what mindfulness-based stress reduction is all about. MBSR is designed to be the beginning of a lifelong process of learning to live every moment of life more fully throughout the regular practice of mindfulness. While mindfulness-based stress reduction is offered in a group format, it is not group therapy, nor is it a support group, but rather a program intended to draw upon the group's shared experiences to facilitate the development of mindfulness in participants. Group sizes range from 12 to 40 participants and may have 1 or 2 instructors. The course is delivered in a structured yet flexible manner, such that the instructor can respond to what is occurring in the class, and this is very important in a prison setting. The standard MBSR program is offered on a weekly basis for 8 consecutive weeks, with a silent retreat day in between classes 6 and 7. This day involves a series of guided meditations with an emphasis on transition, as participants are going to be transitioning out of a guided practice to their own practice. Classes are stipulated to be 2 to 3.5 hours in duration, depending on their location in the course and the amount of material to be covered. MBSR requires highly skilled and experienced instructors. The course is typically preceded by either an individual interview or a group orientation session, and it ends with a post-interview that examines what the person has learned and explores how he or she may continue to integrate mindfulness into his or her life. Teaching is focused on how a mindful relationship to moment experiences can be cultivated through regular practice. Developing a mindful relationship to present moment experience is demonstrated whether participants share difficult or joyful reactions. Utilizing reports of interpersonal encounters, reactions to their own thoughts and feelings, or statements about themselves, the instructor exemplifies a mindful acceptance of behavior of whatever participants want to share. Rather than delivering lectures, instructors offer specific practices and exercises intended to inform the particular themes in each class. More importantly, instructors listen for material that spontaneously arises out of participants' formal practice in daily lives, and then guides class members to see for themselves how perceptions and automatic reactions impact their experiences and ultimately their health and well-being. The class is a safe space for inner exploration in an atmosphere of respect and mutual discovery. The process of inquiry is gentle, inquisitive, sometimes playful, curious, always kind, aiming to encourage these same qualities in participants when sharing and working with their experiences. Attitudes which have to be articulated by the instructors as the foundation of mindfulness are trust, patience, non-striving, curiosity, non-judgment, a beginner's mind, acceptance, and letting be. These are fostered through meditation practice, discussion, and participants' experiences of being with an instructor who personifies these qualities. No matter what modifications are made to the basic program, given the clearly stated importance of who teaches the program and how this is done, instructors need to be practicing what they teach or they will miss the mark. The instructor understands that he or she co-creates the experience of the group, that he or she is as human as the others, and this equality helps all to see that there are universal truths for humans and that transformation is possible for all. The two major clinical interventions based on mindfulness meditation training that meet the emergent criteria level as established by the CDC are mindfulness-based stress reduction and mindfulness-based cognitive therapy. MBSR was originally developed for medical patients suffering with chronic pain and related distress symptoms, but it is now used with generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, sleep disorder, eating disorder, and other psychiatric conditions. The major goal of MBSR is for individuals to become more aware of their thoughts, feelings, and sensations while not becoming absorbed in their content in a judgmental manner. There are more than 400 articles published on the physiological changes that occur during meditative practices. Many authorities in this area believe that the meditative state is psychologically and physiologically more refreshing than deep sleep. Empirical evidence indicates that meditation has physiological, physical, and spiritual benefits. Studies on the long-term mental benefits of meditation show that meditation reduces stress and increases reported levels of happiness, self-confidence, and general effectiveness. Various types of meditation have been taught in many correctional facilities. For example, Buddhist practitioners and others offer meditation programs in an effort to help prisoners and their families cope with life in prison. Researchers have documented possible benefits of meditation. Mayer in 1999 argued that these programs benefit institutionalized populations by allowing a change from within, and that these individuals may find meditation to be a useful tool in coping with the stresses of incarceration. Others have associated meditation with an easing of violence among prison populations, as well as decreasing recidivism on release. Meditation may be A cost-effective tool for helping correctional institutions cope with problems ranging from insomnia to conflict management among inmates. If meditation eases stress levels of this population, administrators might focus their energy in directions other than keeping order, such as real rehabilitation for inmates. A 2009 study at a women's prison by Sumter and colleagues showed that the experimental group experienced fewer sleeping difficulties, less desire to throw things or hit people, and less nail or cuticle biting. They were more hopeful about their future and felt less guilt. Meditation was beneficial for this population. It may be a cost-effective tool for inmates and administrators. Samuelson and colleagues in 2007 detailed how MBSR was administered in correctional facilities. To be feasible, the timing was changed. In some cases, there were shorter classes, twice a week. Since inmates could not listen to CDs in their cells, group practice in a room with a CD was offered to those inmates. The retreat day was not included in the program. Class sizes was limited to 12 to 20 participants. An important aspect of this work was the collaboration with the Council on Criminal Justice, who agreed to allow the program to take place. Similar to the work with women with addictions, collaboration with decision makers and stakeholders was key to the success of this endeavor. Because inmates are a protected group, permission and approval by those in charge and those who protect inmates' well-being at the prison must be obtained. Hundreds of criminals on death row received one-on-one teaching as an adaptation for them. More than that, what can't be examined in numbers is the anecdotal things that you hear from inmates themselves. Inmates who come into prison and who are aggressive and impulsive find an inner peace that they can't explain, an inner peace that makes them think through their actions, think through their words, and treat others with the dignity, the respect, and the compassion that they want for themselves. In this last slide of this gentleman meditating here at the jail, it says, care about what other people think and you will always be their prisoner. And that is the free intervention that this mindfulness-based stress reduction gives to each and every person who experiences it. A list of references can be found at the end of this slide. A comprehensive literature search can be done on PsycInfo, Google Scholars, Web of Knowledge, Medline, Science Direct, and other electronic databases for papers published up to 2015 using keywords such as mindfulness-based stress reduction, prison, inmates, forensics, and corrections. For more information on this and other emergent interventions in the correction system, please consult your local library. Thank you.